Hi, you guys. I'm Sam, and I'm a kid, but I'm also the world's greatest superhero, Super Sam. Me and my sidekick, Barry, fight evil with our incredible superpowers. Right, Barry? I can fly. I have super speed. I have X-ray vision. I rescue friends when they're in trouble. And I have a bazillion fans. Sam, you're the man! I've fought a lot of battles, but not too long ago, I faced my biggest enemy ever. I found out that sometimes even superheroes get sick and need help. I have been making a movie to tell my story, and maybe it's something like your story too. I call it Super Sam versus the Marrow Monsters! My story begins in my doctor's office. This was just like any other visit until I heard that I was going to need a bone marrow transplant. A bone marrow transplant? I was scared and had a lot of questions. Lucky for me, the people I met had lots of answers. Maybe they can help answer some of your questions too. It's okay to ask a lot of questions because you might think that you're boring everybody, but you're not really. You're learning more. Because if you learn more, then you'll know that you'll be fine. You'll be fine during the transplant. Well, I was really scared to ask questions because they might say something that scared me. But once I seen what the hospital was like and I got to know the hospital more and my doctor came to visit me, I asked questions. Okay, I have a question. What is a bone marrow transplant? I thought they would take all my bones and then give me new ones. And then the doctor talked to me about it, and then I understood more.
Your blood-making cells aren't working, and there's a lot of different reasons why they don't work. And what we're going to do is provide you a new blood-making system. And when that happens, your blood's going to work, it's not going to be sick, and you're going to feel much better.
I found out that a bone marrow transplant, BMT for short, is where your body gets brand new cells in your bone marrow because your old marrow isn't working right. The cells inside healthy bone marrow make all the blood cells in your body, like red cells that carry oxygen, white cells that fight infections, and platelets which form clots that help us stop bleeding when we get a cut. But my marrow didn't work right because it was under attack by evil invaders, the marrow monsters that were making me sick. I had to get rid of these monsters and fast. Sometimes they use radiation, but I didn't need it. I just needed chemo. That's short for chemotherapy. Chemo is the stuff that would kill the bad cells that were attacking my healthy cells. It would also affect my healthy cells too. But that's okay, because once all the bad cells were gone, I'd get brand new healthy cells from new bone marrow that would help my body get better and start working like normal again. But I wondered, where does the new healthy bone marrow come from? Sometimes the doctors can use your own cells. But if they can't, they have to find someone who will give you some of theirs. And it's important to find someone who matches you. That person is called a donor. Sometimes your match can be from your family, like your brother or sister. I gave my sister the bone marrow. It's hard to say that word. My donor is my brother, but when they checked the blood cells, they didn't know it right away. Because after a few days or a few weeks, we found who our donor is. I said, I give the bone marrow to you. And he said, what? And I was really excited, and I jumped all around the house. Sometimes it can be from someone you don't even know. At first, I didn't even know, there was a real person giving me their cells. I wish I knew who it was. Say thank you a lot. Because they gave me a new life. I was told that I wouldn't need to have surgery to get my new cells. It's like getting blood, only you're getting new cells put into your body.
It's really almost like a blood transfusion. So really that day is special, but really nothing exciting happens. And a lot of families I think they wait for something big to happen, but it's actually a quiet day.
I was starting to understand how the transplant worked, but I wondered, would it hurt?
If you do not feel good and do have some pain, then we have medicines to give you to control that pain. And that's why you're in the hospital for those weeks, because I need to see you every single day to make sure that you're comfortable.
So what I need for you to do is tell me if you're hurting or if you're afraid it's going to hurt, and we'll talk about what we can do to prevent that.
I could tell that Super Sam was doing battle with a new kind of enemy, and that my greatest weapon would be learning and knowing more. One big question I had was, why did I get sick? Was it my fault?
I don't know why you're sick. We don't really understand why children get cancer or children have a problem with their blood-making system, but we have a lot of ideas of how to help you get better.
It's not because you did something bad to someone or to yourself, or it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's just something that happens, and you have to remember that this is not your fault. It never could be your fault because it just happens.
They also told me that the chemotherapy might make my hair fall out. Will it ever come back? And if it does, will it be like it was before?
Yes, you lose your hair. You go bald, but you'll grow your hair back.
If you have your hair already, you usually won't lose your hair for several weeks. So it's not like you come into the hospital today and tomorrow your hair is gone. So it usually happens kind of slowly over a couple of day period, a few weeks after you get your chemotherapy.
I thought superheroes were never afraid. So I asked my doctor if it was okay that I felt scared.
Fear is a very natural response to something that you've never done before. So you should be worried, but also know that it's the treatment that's right for you and that it's something that can save your life.
My friend Reggie had a different way of looking at things.
I was excited. I knew I was going to get a second chance in life again.
Reggie's right. I was excited, but I was also kind of worried, and I wasn't the only one. It can be really hard for everybody, including moms and dads and brothers and sisters, too. My brother, his name is Trevor, he got jealous a lot, like when I came home, because they were paying more attention to me than him.
Well, I was at home. It was pretty lonely without Delaney.
Are you guys good friends?
We're not friends, we're brother and sister.
Then I asked one of the biggest questions of all. Is this going to make me all better?
I can't tell you what the future is going to look like, and that can be real frustrating, and we acknowledge that, but it's important that you know.
The important thing is that you get up every day and you have as much fun as possible. And even on the bad days when you feel sad, you let yourself feel sad and you say, okay, I'm going to feel sad for today, but tomorrow I'm going to feel better.
My doctor told me I would need to be in the hospital for at least a few weeks, maybe even a month or more, and that my mom and dad would take turns staying with me so I wouldn't be alone. She also said I could bring some things to help my hospital room feel more like home.
If you have a favorite stuffed animal or toy that you want to bring it with you. That's perfect.
I had my blanket, and it made me feel like I was in my own bed.
I knew it was going to be hard to leave home, but I also knew this was a battle I had to fight. So, Super Sam headed to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, it seemed pretty big and scary, with lots of funny smells and weird sounds. But as soon as my mom and dad and I started meeting the people there, I felt a lot better.
When I met them, they were very nice, and they were absolutely trying to help me feel comfortable.
You're going to meet a lot of people, and it might be overwhelming, but you have to remember that every single person that's coming to visit you is there because they want to make you get better and help you get better.
The bottom line is that you're the reason that we're all here, and so we have a lot of different people to help you have the best stay that you can and get out of the hospital as quick as you can.
All the people in the hospital had a job to do, including me.
Well, you have the most important job because you are a patient.
Every day they encourage me to get up out of bed, exercise, keep on making my muscles strong, and don't give up. There's always a light at the end of the road.
Super Sam was getting ready for the big battle, and the hospital really started feeling more like home when I decorated my room. I was afraid I was going to be bored, but there really was a lot to do. The child life specialist is there when they have a lot of games to play. They have like a lot of activities and crafts to do. And the physical therapist she comes and helps you exercise with exercise and games. It was nice to have mom or dad with me all the time. And once in a while, I was allowed to have other visitors too.
My brother would come and he would cheer me up. He would always ask me to play video games with him, and I would get happy.
When my brother would come to visit me, it would be like he was coming to bother me again, because he bothers me still now.
Did that make you happy to let him bother you?
Yeah, kind of, and me to bother him.
But sometimes my friends and family couldn't visit, so I wrote a lot of letters, sent a lot of emails, talked to them on the phone, and even had video chats to stay in touch. There were some days when I would just feel sad and not feel like doing much of anything. It was hard to be happy all the time.
You are allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be scared. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be quiet and withdrawn.
Because I didn't want to feel depressed or emotional. I just wanted to get through it, and just move on. Sometimes you just have to be brave and nothing can stop you.
It's okay to have a day where you just turn off the lights and you just want to sleep and rest and be sad for the day. That's okay.
Super Sam always tries to be brave when it comes to taking medicine. Sometimes swallowing pills is hard, but I know I have to take them to get better. One thing I knew for sure, I did not want to get poked with more needles. That's why they put in something called a central line. A central line is like a tube connected to a vein. It's really helpful instead of getting needles because that one end, it's in here. The other end, there's the two ends. That's where all the medicine's going in through the tube. It's better to have a central line because it hurt, because you'd have to be getting poked and poked and poked really a lot. That hurt. Before my transplant, I had to go through chemotherapy to kill all the sick blood cells. It didn't hurt, but it did feel a little strange. So while I was getting it, I would imagine that the chemotherapy was entering my body and destroying the evil invaders right and left. And you know what? It was. My doctor said that the chemo might make me feel a little sick. And she was right. It did.
Some of the chemo would make me drowsy and make me say crazy stuff. And some of it made me sick.
It would make me sick, nauseous, and I wouldn't feel good, but it doesn't last that long.
Chemotherapy made me really tired. Super Sam wasn't feeling too super, but my nurse gave me some medicine that helped me feel better. And then, just like they said, the chemo started to make my hair fall out. But it didn't bother me. I thought it'd look kind of cool.
Some kids lose their hair. Not all of them. Some of them don't even lose all of it. Some of them just lose a little bit of it. But that is something that you have to be prepared for because you are going to look a little bit different for a while. However, after your bone marrow transplant, your hair will grow back.
I would wear scarves or wigs and nobody would know. But I didn't want to wear a hat every day. That's a fashion crisis.
I was thinking that, oh no, everybody's gonna see my bald head, and I need to get some wigs or something to put on.
Then, finally, the big day arrived. It was time for my transplant, when I would get my brand new cells.
It was a lot more easier than what I thought it would be. I thought I would go through pain, and it turned out it was just simple. You just have a bag, they put it through the tube, and it goes in your body.
The day when I got my bone marrow, it was so happy. Well, they hooked it up to this machine, and they put it in me. And so it was connected to this long line that was connected to the bag, and then they connected the bag to my central line. My doctors and nurses told me I had to give my new cells a chance to start working, and that I had to be really careful about not getting an infection. So I had to protect myself by wearing a mask sometimes, and washing my hands, like all the time. And so did everyone who came into my room.
We have to keep you in isolation because your new cells take a long time to grow, and while they're growing, you don't have any cells in your body that will fight infection. And infection is our #1 enemy.
It's important that you're protected from germs because you have an immune system that's not quite up and running yet, and we have to protect you from any kind of bug that can make you sick until your immune system comes back.
Wearing a mask is very important to prevent the infections and the germs that are in the air.
So we really have to be very careful with people who come visit you. Make sure that nobody is sick, nobody has fevers or any other type of illnesses.
Everybody told me I have to be patient for my brand new cells to grow. Patience is definitely not one of Super Sam's superpowers, but I'm working on it. Hey, maybe that's why they call it being a patient.
It's good things that, a life-changing procedure takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And it takes work for you because you have to undergo all this treatment, and you have to undergo all the side effects. But all things that are that good take a lot of patience.
A lot of kids feel like they're going to go crazy because they have to be in the hospital, but having a bone marrow transplant requires you to have a little bit of patience because you are going to be in the hospital for a lengthy amount of time.
I was pretty tired for a long time, and Super Sam had to be super patient. But after a while, the doctor told me that my blood and platelet counts were going up. Super Sam was winning the battle.
And it's a big fight for your life. You're fighting for your life. It's a big process you go through, and you just fight and fight and fight until you finally win.
The time had finally come. After all that waiting and work, I got to leave the hospital.
You're going to be excited because you're going to be discharged. You might be a little bit nervous because the nurses aren't going to be there 24/7 and it's only going to be your mom or your dad. But you have to know that the doctors are not going to release you unless they feel 100% confident that you're healthy enough to leave the hospital.
Since my home is pretty far away, we stayed close to the hospital. It almost felt like normal. I still had to visit the clinic a lot, sometimes every day, so they could check to make sure I was still getting better.
You're going to come into the clinic, you're going to visit me, we're going to hang out, they're going to run some labs and make sure that you're still doing well, and we're going to check on you every single day for the first few weeks, and then you're going to come once a week after that.
The best day ever was when my doctor told me I was well enough to go back home. There's just no feeling better than being back with your family. But I still needed to protect myself from infections and needed to get stronger.
First, I didn't just get to live my normal life. I still had to stay home, be homeschooled. But I take that over being in the hospital for another couple of months. It was really good because finally I got to go back to my own home and I got to see my hamster again. Well, I had to wash my hands constantly, had to sanitize my hands. If I touched something, I'd have to sanitize my hands. I couldn't go to any public places because they carry a lot of germs.
The best part about going home was I was getting to see my family again. Actually stay with my family.
It was hard to do everything at first, but before long, I was back doing normal kid stuff and back in school.
Well, when I went back to school for the first time, everybody was like, Reggie, you're back at school? And I said, yes. Everybody just was big-hearted to me.
Now I feel wonderful. Every time my dad wakes up, I just spring out of my bed and do everything I'm supposed to do and run downstairs, eat, and then get my snack and get my shoes ready, and then I run into the car and then we drive to school, and I'm really excited to be at school. It's been a long, hard fight, but I'm doing great. Super Sam has defeated the Marrow Monsters and is celebrating every day.
It's like I'm normal. I have a normal life. I'm able to eat food that's been laid out. Well, I don't want to get sick, but You know what I mean. And I'm able to pet my dog without washing my hands. I'm able to go outside and play and run around. There's been just a lot of changes.
I feel like I've been like in the hospital for like 1,000,000 years, and now I'm free.
I do a lot of stuff that I couldn't do before. It feels good. You get a lot of strength back. I'm still working on it though, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I used to think I was a superhero, but now I know I am. And I met a lot of other superheroes along the way. They're everywhere I look. Hey, I bet you're one too.